Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, Pokemaniacs. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with more of the Pokemon Adventures manga, where previously in the Diamond, Platinum, Pearl, whatever you want to call it arc, after hearing about Platinum's father and Professor Rowan going missing, Platinum ends up battling Byron, believing that he is the kidnapper, as, they're kind of found in his gym. But he manages to sort things out a little bit. Unfortunately, the other thing that comes to light is the fact that Pearl and Diamond are in fact not Platinum's bodyguards, something that hits her pretty hard, all things considered. But the elite Team Galactic Grunt returns to the scene of the crime, deciding to free Rowan and Berlitz, and even in the dead of night, going to a sleeping Platinum and essentially telling her about their plans for the Lake Guardians, with me believing that this is a ploy. I mean, he plays off like, oh, I'm saying this because you can't even hear me, but it's like, no, I feel like you want her to do this, especially with a previous moment showing that Cyrus acknowledged Diamond and Pearl as having the aspects that correspond with two of the Lake Guardians, with us knowing that Platinum definitely corresponds with the one of knowledge. But thanks to the funds that Team Galactic managed to get from Mr. Berlitz, they're able to complete the Galactic Bomb, which still sounds really terrifying. But remembering what the Galactic Grunt said, Platinum goes to her father, who definitely does not want her out and about considering what's been going on. She decides that because she feels an obligation to stop Team Galactic, she wants to head out to one of the lakes. And she still wants to continue being friends and allying with Diamond and Pearl because, she's told little lies too. She has her own understanding that the truth is not so easy to come by sometimes. Unfortunately, this means that our team will have to split up for the first time in a good long while, something that ends up weighing heavily upon them. And in a display of passion in order to convince her father, Platinum's Ponyta evolves into a Rapidash. She shows her father that she will not be deterred in this mission, so they allow the kids to go out and at the very least just scope out the situation. You and I both know that's not how all that's gonna happen, but it points for at least trying to keep the kids under control. But while the other two do set out, Diamond is the one who is singled out by Byron, specifically that he's not as skilled as his compatriots, although he does manage to attract Byron Sheldon, who even Byron had trouble training. So in order to get Diamond up to snuff, as they have a deadline of about a week, which the Galactic Grunt also spilled, which that is way too specific to be telling someone you think is asleep, Byron has Diamond head over to Iron Island, I believe, and meet up with one of my favorite characters, Sir Riley. I call him Sir Riley because of Sir Aaron. It's a bad habit, I'm sorry. But he's a high-level trainer who can see what Diamond lacks and is determined to get the young man into fighting shape. Can Diamond pull it off when he's been, not the most dispassionate, but not really one to overly exert himself unless the situation really calls for it? Well, it really calls for it. Let's see what this Diamond can do. Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, Chapter 43. Lucky Lucario Part 2. Alright, as Munchlax and Sheldon continue to battle against the Steelix, grapple with it more or less, Riley tells Diamond, your time limit is 3 days. You'll have to go all out with your training. Diamond thinks to himself, he's right. To protect me, Mesprit, I have to get stronger and faster. That's the point of all this hard training. Before that rotten Team Galactic gets to Lake Verity, I have to build up my strength so I can give them a run for their money. He tells his Torterra to use Crunch. Okay, it's kind of hard for me to tell what's going on here. I do see Torterra bite down on Steelix, but the way Steelix reacts is almost like he got uppercutted. But Torterra, with Steelix in his teeth, swings the freaking massive metal snake around, launching it into a wall. Dang, Torterra! But Steelix is pissed and starts swinging the still biting down Torterra around. As we see Diamond and his Pokemon try to get out of the way, Riley thinks to himself, I see. He probably wanted Torterra to use Earthquake against the Steel-type Pokemon, but then his Sheldon and Munchlax would have taken damage as well. Yes. Yeah. Earthquake, it always sucks when you don't think about the consequences of using Earthquake, which is rather ironic. That's why he paused before giving the command to his Torterra. We then see Torterra get flung off of Steelix. Oh, almost right on top of Diamond and his other Pokemon. I don't know if it was No, I don't think so. Because Torterra bounces off the ground, but we see Munchlax got caught up in Torterra's tree. As Diamond and as all of his Pokemon are down, Steelix looms over them and then just starts whacking them with its tail, and then it leaves. Dang. Diamond goes rushing over to his Pokemon saying, are you okay? True, Don, Lax. Riley says, it's gone. Where Torterra's crunch was quite effective. It must have concluded that continuing the battle would only delay the inevitable. Diamond is taken aback by this, and he questions, Pokemon can figure out things like that? Riley says, that one is a special case. It's the leader of these caves. It was a stroke of luck that you went up against it first. Good luck or bad luck? That Pokemon is smart, powerful, and nimble. In fact, I haven't defeated it even once yet myself. Oh, hey, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about Riley and the other trainers in the game who are like, high in certain stats, but I know that they're not really meant to be like tough opponents. They're just an interesting aspect to the game, at least as far as I know. Diamond is taken aback by hearing this, as Riley says, now then, you still have a long ways to go. Let's forge ahead. The narration that says, the intensive Iron Island Pokemon training continues. Using an abandoned coal mine as their arena, Dia and Riley descend deeper and deeper, battling a variety of wild Pokemon until they reach the very end, only for Dia to swing around and go through it all over again. See, that's literally how I do grind in a Pokemon game. If I'm too low leveled, it's just like I find an area where it's just like, okay, there's a lot of tough Pokemon here. I'll just run the gauntlet and just go through it again and again. That's literally it. I know that's probably not very shocking to hear. That's probably very common for a lot of people, but that's usually what I do. If I suffer like a bad enough defeat where it's just like, okay, my Pokemon are way under level for this section, which usually I try to take on everything that comes my way so that doesn't happen. But if that ends up being the case, it's like, okay, training time, gotta grind a little, and I try to bump up my Pokemon at least like 5 levels or so. Very rarely have I ever had to do like a full 10 levels, and I think the only time I had to do that, I ended up being over leveled. It's like, okay, yeah, now I'm too strong for this, and it's no fun if I'm too strong. Starting with the second circuit, Dia will go it alone. Riley awaits him at the entrance to heal the beaten and bruised Pokemon and Dia when they get back. And yeah, that's how it goes. Day 1 is over. Day 2 is on the wane. And then on day 3, we see a very exhausted Diamond come to Riley saying, 5 circuits, done, as he falls to the ground along with his Pokemon. You then cut to Diamond cooking up a storm. And so much like Brock, the gourmet of the group. And I love that each of his Pokemon have specific skills. Munchlax is basically running things around, getting them ready while Diamond is cooking. You have Torterra using its razor leaf to cut up fruits and vegetables, and Sheldon gets to sample because he's the new guy. Diamond says, I think it needs to cook a little longer. Sit tight, Riley. Dinner will be ready soon. Riley says thanks. He then thinks to himself, he's wiped out from all that training, but he's making dinner. And he's in good spirits. What an odd kid. Oh, okay. Had to figure out what was going on in the panel, but a book laid on the rock that Riley is sitting starts to fall. He catches it. It's a stack of books, but he catches the stack before it falls over. But the page to one of the little booklets falls open. It reads, Iron Island Day 1. My Pokemon are too slow. Riley says they need to get more nimble, but how? He has True and Lax mapped out. Riley questions this and looks to the cover. It reads Pokemon Battle Practice Journal. And it has a picture of Pearl on it saying refer to journal daily. Even when they're not together. Pearl is the little voice in his head helping him stay motivated. Oh, that's cute. Riley looks it over. Day 2 says training for speed, making the first move, investigating technique. Iron Island Day 3 is it even possible to get more nimble? Besides, if they get struck by an attack, their incredible defense only gets stronger. He's even trying to work out around if he can't get the speed up. Oh, dang, this kid, it's easy to kind of dismiss him, but he really puts in the work when push comes to shove. Just not in the ways that you would expect. Diamond then calls out to Riley, all done. Time to dig in. Ah, that looks good. Down in the caves, the Pokemon that came after us were super fast. Riley says, I presume by now you know why I chose course A for you. Considering the obstacles you must overcome, that's the one best suited to you. But no matter how hard we try, Diamond says, but no matter how hard we try day after day, when Pokemon ain't able to make the first move. Riley looks to Diamond's Pokemon thinking, it's quite a challenge to achieve agility with a team like that. And then you have the Pokemon from within the cave smelling the delicious food, led by their nose as they emerge from the cavern. You got Onix and Geodude and Golbat and Graveler and Pelipper? Pelipper. There we go, Pelipper. And Wingull. Says, whoa, smell of your cooking lured out all these wild Pokemon. And Diamond just starts handing out the food saying, that's all right, eat up, be my guest. Which, and I hope you rationed at least a few. You're here for a while, man. Late that night, we see, Diamond and Riley asleep in their tent, all snuggled up in their sleeping bags. I love Lucaria just off to the side, looking like a badass, not even lying down to sleep. Suddenly, Diamond gets up and exits the tent. Riley sees this and peeks out of the tent. You see Diamond carving a target on a cave wall. He has Torterra blast, but it looks like only some of them even remotely hit the target, and only one of the Razor Leaf getting dead center. You see Diamond seemingly discussing things with his Pokemon. Suddenly, Riley gets a call on his Pokegear. It says, Riley here. Byron answers saying, it's me, Byron. How's Dia coming along? Riley says, aside from his lack of power, he's a good Pokemon trainer. Compassionate and hardworking. Tenacious too. No matter how long it takes, he puzzles over a problem until he comes up with a solution. He certainly makes a good impression, but if he hopes to reach Lake Verity before Saturday, have to be on his way soon. I'm going to give him his comprehensive exam tomorrow. Byron says, great. Thanks again, Riley. Riley says, my pleasure. And he hangs up, but Lucario seems to sense something. Also, completely forgot. Got my boy Lucario. Lucario. All right. The next day, we have Riley and Diamond and their Pokemon at the cave entrance. Riley says, today's your last day, Dia. Diamond says, yeah. Riley says, today is the last step of your training, and it involves a new challenger. The course is the same as usual, but last night I hid something in it. Your task is to fetch it for me. That something is a Pokemon egg. Diamond's shocked, saying, an egg? Riley says, that's right. Hurry so the wild Pokemon don't get it first. And you had better be more on guard than you've been these past few days. If you accomplish this last task, you'll officially graduate from this training. Diamond says, all right, here I go. Gotta hurry. And he rushes in with his Pokemon, but then he runs into something. Oh, Riley calls out, what's the matter, Dia? Diamond says, something's blocking the way. It's a Steelix. Yeah, the Steelix is down. Diamond then looks to one of the ends on Steelix and says, oh, the bite marks. This is the Pokemon True fought on our first day. The leader of the cave, Riley said even he had a hard time fighting it. Who did this to it? Yeah, seriously. And a chapter. That's weird. I wasn't sure if maybe it succumbed to the bite, but someone else went at it? Uh-oh. Well, I mean, like Qui-Gon Jinn always says, there's always a bigger fish. Did something try to muscle in on its territory? At Chapter 44, Vexing Vespiquen and Unmanageable Mothim. Part 1. Oh. Diamond then notices the shadow of someone moving on one of the abandoned containers. But as he looks, the shadow moves away. Diamond says, huh? Did I just see a moving shadow? Riley calls out to Diamond, tells him, this is indeed the Steelix who rules these caverns. It seems it suffered a rough defeat. Diamond questions, how can you tell? Riley says, by reading the vestiges of its aura. Ooh, here's the aura. Man, I've always found it cool, the whole thing about aura and stuff like that. I really do. It sucks that apparently Yellow doesn't show up again. Because, like, now that you have others who seem to have this ability to just immediately tell things by reading Pokemon, just with their minds, it's like, hello, Yellow? It's been a thing in this manga since the second story arc. And of all things, for her just not to appear again. That's so stupid. That sucks. I almost wish they'd do like an adaptation of Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. That way, I would think, hopefully, Yellow would be in that, since it's kind of isn't a weird adaptation of Pokemon Yellow. Just anything to get Yellow back in the story, because, like, with aura and these people emerging with psychic powers in the story and understanding Pokemon, I mean, it was bound to happen, all things considered, but I'd love to see if maybe Yellow's abilities tie in with that in some way. Like, what would happen if Yellow and Riley interacted? What would they glean off of each other? Would they have a deeper understanding? Shoot, even Riley and Lance. Are their powers dissimilar from aura, or is there a close connection there? Is it the same thing? It really does raise so many questions. Shoot, even the Pokemon anime kind of had that with Annabelle in the Battle Frontier. She had a psychic link with her Pokemon that almost kind of read like what Yellow could sometimes do. Riley says, let's see. It was a swift opponent. Steelix used rock polish that increased its speed, but not enough, and thus it was defeated. Yeah, see, that's more than just reading the body of the Steelix. You're like reading its mind as to what happened. I know he feels the power of aura, but still, such a bummer. There's so much connective tissue here in such a weird way that I would love for them to explore it, but I know they don't really have the time for that because they're trying to squeeze in all these adaptations. Riley says, Dia, you need a change of plans. Keep up with me. Don't fall behind. Diamond says, I won't. Riley tells him, after we've gotten to the bottom of this mystery, you can begin your final challenge. The challenge to find that Pokemon egg. As they walk through the caves, Riley says, now who could have done this? Diamond says, Riley? Maybe I imagined it, but I thought I saw a moving shadow earlier. Riley questions, a shadow? That's odd. As they make their way down to level 2, Riley says, if it was near enough for you to spot, Lucario and I should have picked up the source of the shadow's aura. Suddenly, something comes out of nowhere, striking both Riley and Lucario, who's sending them plummeting down into a lower level. He hits the ground pretty hard. Diamond calls out for Riley, and as he uses the lift to get down, Riley says, ugh, what was that? My eyes, I can't see. Diamond comes rushing over as the lift lands, saying, are you okay, Riley? As Diamond examines what's on Riley and Lucario's face, and Munchlax immediately begins licking it, Diamond thinks, there's honey on your... Riley says, I'm fine. Even without one or two of our common 5 senses, Lucario and I can still detect auras. We have the power to read it, the movements and thoughts of anyone around us. 2 figures up above say, oh, is that so? Then I guess you knew we were here all along, huh? Oh, it's a couple of roughnecks. So a little trial by fire then, huh? One of the roughnecks says, not if you did, we wouldn't have been able to attack you so easy. The other says, that's right. Riley calls out, who's there? And when did you get here? The bigger roughneck says, how's that again? You mean, you know that technique we used in our attack, but... The other says, you don't have a clue who's standing right in front of your nose. Now, how could that be? Take this, then. He has Vespiquen use Power Gem. Which, Power Gem? Power Gem? Huh. Another attack I have no knowledge of. Oh, weird. But Riley and Lucario try their best to avoid the attack. But the attack causes a bit of a damage to Riley, Lucario, as well as Diamond and Munchlax. The bigger roughneck says, "You're famous for your ability to read auras." While the other says, "You could sense our every move and thought. We needed an anti-Riley defense before we attacked, so we got ourselves an aura seal." Aura seal? Aura seal? What the heck is an aura seal? And there's no information on it in the wiki. Diamond thinks, an aura seal? The big roughneck says, "Work like a charm, huh? Just like the guy said." The other says, "Hey, it did." Diamond gets angry, saying, "Why are you attacking us anyway?" The bigger roughneck says, "You'd like to know, huh?" As his Vespiquen hands over the Pokemon egg, he says, "We'll put a stop to this little squirt by holding his Pokemon egg hostage." Diamond panics as the thinner roughneck says, We've got this fight in the bag, so it won't hurt to brag about the secret of our aura seal, will it?" The bigger one says, "Oh, let's. People detect the auras of other people and Pokemon in the same way the rest of us hear sound. If there's too much noise, it's hard to pick up certain frequencies. We figured we could confuse things the same way with auras. That's where this little Pokemon comes in. Motham and its air slash attack. Oh, it creates a constant surrounding of air to kind of mask their presence. That's a little advanced of an idea for a couple of doofuses." Riley says, "He disrupted the air to make the aura waves hard to distinguish." The bigger roughneck says, "Bingo! Malton's been deploying air slash in circles around us, which you think that would tire out the Pokemon after a while." The thinner roughneck says, "Even if you or Lucario managed to pick up others' auras, you can't get a beat on ours." Riley says, "Curse it. Lucario must have sensed their presence earlier, but it was so subtle I didn't react to it." Ah, that's what it was. The roughnecks say, "With your aura senses down for the count, we own this fight. You just pray for our Vespiquen. What we did with your eyes was a move called attack order. Basically, we splattered you with honey. With one word from Vespiquen, the drones attack at high speed. The drones are so fast, not even that Steelix was a match for them." Diamond says, "So, they're a speedy enemy, huh? And that's where I come in." The roughnecks question this, as Diamond says, "Riley says the point of my Iron Island training is to gain more speed. That's what I've been practicing. But since my Pokemon are no match for quick opponents, I've been coming up with ways to compensate. He asks his Pokemon, ready to test the fruits of your labor? We're going to defeat you plus overcome your speed advantage." The bigger roughneck says, "Yeah, sure you are." Diamond looks at his information saying, "Now, let's see. Oh, here it is." Riley thinks, "Dear, what technique are you going to use to oppose them?" And Riley's shocked, and I guess he overhears Razor Leaf. He thinks that won't be very effective against such a swift opponent. But Diamond says, "Do it. Razor Leaf." Torterra does just that. The roughnecks have Vespiquen use Defend Order to counter the Razor Leaf. The bigger one says, "What gives? You look so confident, but that's such a low-level attack." The smaller one says, "Yeah, slow like molasses too." Diamond says, "No." The roughnecks say, "You said you were going to overcome our speed, but Vespiquen's drones have stopped every one of those leaves." But Diamond tells Torterra to use it one more time. And another counter. The roughnecks laugh, "Even slower than the first time." But Diamond takes a moment and then tells Torterra, "Good job, True. Just like we planned." The roughnecks question this as Diamond says, "Don't you see what we did? The second Razor Leaf attack shot twice as many leaves as the first round. I've learned to control the number of leaves I launched. That's part of my new training." Riley says, "There were more in the second round, but they didn't fly as fast." "Ah, now I get it. By decreasing the number of leaves, you increase the remaining leaves' speed." Diamond says, "That's right, Riley. All I have to do is power the number of leaves without losing any of the power. Power divided by number equals speed. And it all comes down to the last leaf. And that one leaf can fly at a speed 100 times faster than usual, see?" The big roughneck says, "Impossible. Razor Leaf fires lots of leaves in hopes that some will hit the target." While the smaller one says, "Yeah, and so what if one of the leaves is super fast? There's no way it's gonna hit its target dead on." Diamond says, "Oh yes it will. That's what I've been practicing. How to make a single leaf hit a target." The bigger roughneck says, "Oh yeah, show us." Diamond says, "Okay, True. Razor. Leaf. Oh. Oh. By the time he finishes saying that, the one leaf seems to have pierced Vespiquen. Oh, jeez. That's kind of brutal. Wasn't expecting that. The two roughnecks turn with a huh? As Riley thinks. That leaf flew at supersonic speed even before he finished calling out his attack. Impressive. Diamond strikes the pose saying, I call my secret finishing move the Razor Leaf Diamond Special Mach 1 and only. Really? That's actually kind of insane. Super powered up Razor Leaf. That's interesting though. Vespiquen drops the egg though, but the roughneck seemed to, I guess, be happy that the egg's in danger, but it then falls into a bed of leaves, much to the shock of the roughnecks. They think, I see it now. All those leaves shot during the first and second attack, collected beneath the Vespiquen I think it's Riley saying this. Beneath the Vespiquen to catch the egg when it fell. It was a slow process, but unerring and perfectly placed. The bigger roughneck says, No way! Hurry, Vespiquen, get back up! Heal order! While the smaller one says, It's no use. The drones are in a panic. Oh, and then they go after Motham. Yeah, the whole Vespiquen drone thing has always been kind of weird to me, though. It's almost like it has, parasites that it just launches out and does its thing. I wonder, are there any other depictions of the drones that I can see throughout this? Yeah, nothing really shows off what those things look like. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Huh. That is so odd. But Riley says, I can see their auras now. The panicked drones are interfering with Motham's moves. Diamond holds up the egg saying, I got the egg back, and broke their aura seal. And as Riley commands Lucario, who begins cracking its knuckles, he says, Now it's our turn to attack. The roughnecks say, No, you just calm down. Oh, jeez, and Riley just has Lucario just go all out. Close combat, aura spear, bone rush, flash cannon. And then they leave the two roughnecks tied up to a barrel, which, you're not just going to leave them there, right? Proper authorities and all that good stuff. Then again, what they're doing was it technically illegal? I actually don't even remember what they were after. They were just trying to beat up Riley? I don't know. Weird little side story, but okay. Moving on. It was worth it if Diamond gets an upgrade. Oh, Chapter 45. Vexing Vespiquen and Unmanageable Motham Part 2. Which is kind of weird because it kind of felt like that story ended. Okay, so we pick up with the Pokemon Egg. I guess back aboard the SS Sinnoh with all the sailors and Eldrick and Riley and Lucario watching the egg hatch into a Riolu. They say, Hooray, it hatched! A baby Riolu is born. Eldrick says, the miracle of birth. Reminds me of the day my darling son was born. Aw. Oh yeah, they did turn the roughnecks over to Eldrick. He says, What kind of people would endanger a precious new life like that? Hey, you goons, who sent you? What are you after? Answer me. Well, it says, It's no use. You've asked them 100 times already. Okay, so it wasn't really put out there what they were after. They say, Please believe us. We only did it for the money. The other one says, The stranger said he'd pay us millions to go to Iron Island and stir up trouble. He hired us on the spot. Team Galactic? Really? If that's so, that would kind of interfere with my thought that they wanted the kids to go to the lake, unless they wanted to motivate them to go? I don't know. Eldrick says, think they're telling the truth. They don't know anymore, but we can't let them off easy. Riley says, I agree. And whatever the reason, I won't tolerate troublemakers on my island. Your island? Riley, do you own the island? And you definitely look like you come from money, but do you own Island, or did you just stake a claim to it? I'm actually kind of curious. Riley says, Well, we've captured the enemy and saved the egg. I call that a good day's work. That's what the Pokemon trainer who defeated them said. Eldrick says, That's right, he did. What happened to him anyway? We sailed it to pick him up, but Riley and Eldrick then look off in the distance where, Steelix seems to be really happy towards Diamond. Eldrick says, I'll be. Seems that Pokemon is taking quite a liking to him. That is Steelix? Riley says, Yes, it's the cave's leader. Steelix understands that Dia chased the intruders away, and now it's smitten. We won't let him leave. I say that's as good as sign as any that Dia passed his test. What do you say we tell him, eh, Lucario? I love that Lucario has Riolu on his shoulders. Riley then calls out to Diamond saying, Dia, you worked very hard these past 4 days. You demonstrated the willpower to hone your skills and add super speed attacks to your repertoire. Beating those ruffians was proof enough. Your test was unconventional, but you deserve to depart from Iron Island with confidence in your ability. Diamond gives a bow, saying, Thank you, Riley. But I didn't do anything special. Riley questions, What do you mean? Diamond says, Well, the enemy came looking for me. I didn't have a choice but to take them on. Riley questions, You think they were targeting you? What makes you think this was about you? Those jerks said they only came to the island to cause trouble. But Riley then realizes something, and then says, Do you feel it, Lucario? Lucario and Riolu start to sense something as Riley puts his hand to the sky, thinking from the sky, something coming this way. Diamond atop Steelix has Torterra use Razor Leaf. I love how the leaf is already gone by the time he gets the leaf. It's Razor whoosh Leaf. It's already gone. That is insane. And then he says, Diamond special Mach 1 and only 2. And as they hit whatever was in the sky. Oh, wait. It's not one of those drones, is it? Yup. I thought about it for a second. I'm like, what would be up in the sky that they'd hit? A drone. It lands right next to Riley. And he turns to Torterra saying, Direct hit on something airborne and moving fast? The Torterra blushes a little as Riley picks up the object, saying, Let's take a look. Some sort of camera with a speaker. Diamond says, Yep, I've seen that before. It's a remote-controlled camera some baddies use to monitor battles. They filmed me before. Riley gets serious, saying, So that's why you think this was about you. Diamond tells him, But Riley kind of tips his hat, thinking, Byron, this kid you entrusted to me. He's quicker on the uptake than he looks, right? That's what I was saying before. And the enemy and the attack he's planning to thwart appear to be more challenging than I'd realized. Okay. Suddenly Diamond slides off of Steelix's back, tumbles down its tail into a house. Eldrick says, Ouch! Crash right into Byron's training cottage. Riley rushes in saying, Dia, are you okay? And Dia says, Yeah. All loopy with Pokeballs on his eyes, saying, I'm fine. La la la. And Riley says, You are? Diamond then takes a moment and stops and says, Oh, this is Byron's house, isn't it? Riley says, Yes. Diamond says, Oh, then. There it is. He grabs something. Huh? What is that? Oh, is it like a condition for Sheldon to evolve? Or is it a held item? Diamond flashes back when he left Byron. Byron's saying, I'm warning you, Diamond. Your training will be grueling. And well worth the effort. I left something on for you on the island on top of the TV in my cottage. After your trainer tells you you've passed your test, go ahead and take it. Have your Sheldon carry it for you. Diamond hands it over, saying, I hope you like it. Here you go, Don. And Riley thinks, metal coat. Yeah, it evolves. Lets certain Pokemon evolve, so what's the condition for Sheldon to evolve? I don't know. There's no condition for Sheldon to evolve into Bastiodon. It just evolves at level 30. Okay. I guess it just helps out Sheldon's abilities. Diamond then turns to a picture on top of Byron's TV. He thinks Byron and his son Rourke. Diamond then looks over to Lucario and Riolu, and he thinks of parents and their children. He thinks of Pearl and his father, who should be Palmer. I completely forgot about the dude's name. Platinum and her father, Mr. Burletts, and Diamond and his mom, Joanna. Yeah. I wonder if she'll actually be featured in this story at any point. Diamond chuckles to himself and pats himself on the cheek, saying, I have to protect it. I have to protect Sinnoh's future. He then turns to Steelix, saying, Could you give me another lift, Steelix? Steelix does just that, lifting him high up in the air. Diamond looks over the horizon, saying, Let's see. Lake Verity is... Oh, they're that close to it? Riley says, Can you see it from up there? Diamond says, Nope, not at all. But I can see where I'm heading, into my future. What a little silly. And so, aboard the SS Sinnoh, Eldrick says, Full steam ahead. As Riley bids them farewell, he says, I'm counting on you, Eldrick. Eldrick says, He's safe with me. Riley then says, Dia, I hope you succeed in protecting Mess Spirit of Lake Verity. Also, those rice bowls you made were delicious. Please cook them again for me sometime. thought he was going to get the Riolu or something, but I guess not. Never goes the way I think. Regardless, Diamond gives a nod. As the SS Sinnoh takes off, Riley then looks to the drone, saying, "Now then, whoever hired those two U-balls, rude, to attack Iron Island is probably the same idiot who launched this machine Dia told me about, or as are admitted by people, Pokemon, and even inanimate objects. What I sense emanating from this is your malice, an aura of evil." And the facade of the elite galactic grunt appears right on the camera. Meanwhile, aboard the SS Sinnoh, Diamond says, "Bon appetit." Eldrick says, "Hey, you can't just barge into our galley and fix yourself a snack whenever you feel like it. Stop eating, young man. You'll eat us out of boat and helm in one day." Oh, God. No, that's so odd. I don't know, I keep thinking they're going to gain more Pokemon, because I've seen them with more Pokemon in some of these covers. Man, there's still a lot of story left, I'm realizing. There's still a lot of story left. It's only just really dawning on me how much story there's still left. Because we're already starting to deal with Team Galactic. Platinum's gained so many badges. There's still so much story left. Why does it already feel like we're nearing the end of the story? My God, that's weird. That's throwing me off a little bit. But what's also throwing me off is just them not having a full party. And I guess it's fine because Diamond only just got Shell done. They don't even have the levels next to the Pokemon. Interesting. But the Pokemon already feel so high leveled. What Pokemon would they get? And it's just weird getting to this far, having fought this many gym battles, and just only having 2 Pokemon apiece. That's throwing me something awful. Oh well. And on to chapter 46, winning over Wingull. Okay, we pick up with Pearl and Infernape. Love to see it. Climbing a mountain. Pearl is struggling, and thankfully Infernape is there to help out. Pearl says, "Thanks, Chimler. I made it up here all by myself. And with my Pokemon. Deanna and Lady and I took that road down there before, but we can't go the same way now. This route is steep and indirect, but we need to be cautious. We can't let Team Galactic suspect we're onto them. All right, Chimler, let's set our sights on Lake Valor." Chatot repeats, "Lake Valor? Ah!" Pearl then looks out saying, "But wow, what a view. There's Eterna Forest and Eterna City itself just across the way." He then reaches into his bag and pulls out some binoculars and says, "I can see it from here." Yeah, he spots the building with the spikes on it. Pearl notes that building and remembers Diamond's words from before. The spikes, they make the building look tough. Pearl says that's how Dia described it. Oh, there's a helicopter landing on the roof. It's moving fast. Looks like they're in a hurry. I guess a rooftop helicopter up there isn't that unusual. Those spikes are another story. Come on, let's head down to the forest. I love that. Just like, man, those spikes. Ominous. Better check it out. As they make their way down, Pearl says carefully, but Chatot hears some flapping. And as it looks into the distance with surprise, Pearl questions, "What is it, Chatler?" As we see 2 Wingull making their way in at high speeds. Ooh, are they near their nest? Because Wingull wouldn't just randomly attack like this, and I don't think Team Galactic has Wingull. But the Wingull both hit Pearl, and he ends up falling down. I mean, not fully down the cliff, though. As he says, "What the heck?" He looks up saying, "Wow, Wingull, attacking us? Chatler, attack!" He tells Chatot to use Pluck, and unleashes a fury of pecks against the Wingull. The Wingull aren't giving up. Pearl says one more time, and Chatot and the Wingull just keep going at it. Pearl says they're flying types too. Chatler's way faster, but they're pretty tough still. So one rests, and then the other goes in. They're taking turns. Pearl says that pose. They're using Roof a self-healing move. Watch out, Chatler. They're rotating in and out, taking turns, rejuvenating an attack. Yeah, Chatot's starting to wear down. Pearl notes, "Oh no, Chatler's tiring. You help it, Chimler?" Ooh. Infernape gives a nod, and we see it bulk up one of its arms. Oh, it uses Mach Punch, sending rocky debris towards the Wingull. Pearl calls out to Chatot, "Hey, come here. Fire and fighting type attacks aren't very effective on Wingull. There's no use fighting them head on. We're better off retreating." But as Pearl gets ready to make its way, Infernape spots something and grabs onto Pearl's shoulder. Pearl questions, What is it, Chimler?" And Infernape points with a very sympathetic look in its eyes. Pearl sees what Infernape was pointing to, an injured Wingull. Pearl says, a Wingull nest. That baby Wingull looks injured. That must be why the others attacked us, to keep us away from this baby. No wonder they're so mad. Pearl calls out, hey Wingull, we get it, we're sorry. We're just passing through, we don't mean your friend any harm. Oh, but suddenly there's a massive gust, an updraft actually, that threatens to blow Pearl back. It's what the... But then he realized, saying, oh, this is bad, as the Wingull nest is blown upward and off the cliff it was on. Pearl says, see that? Oh, jeez. And without a thought in his head, Pearl dives for the falling Wingull, saying, please, please, let me make it in time. He manages to grab the Wingull in the nest, but he's kind of free-falling. Thankfully, Infernape manages to bound down the mountain, getting underneath Pearl, catching him. Oof, dang. Infernape always coming in clutch. This just makes me love Infernape even more. And it helps that Ash's Infernape had such a great story, but Infernape here, such a good Pokemon. So versatile. The Wingull parents come flying down, worried, but are thankful to see that their little one is okay. Pearl waves them off, saying, heh, guess that convinced them we're on the up and up. See ya. Shout out repeats, see ya, see ya. Ah. So as Pearl makes his way, and then says, wait, where am I? After that detour, I have no idea where we are. Which side of the mountain are we on? Chana says, which? Ah. As Pearl comes to a river, he says, this doesn't look anything like a turn of forest. There's a river over, but then he hits something, saying, ow, what is this place? How did you not notice you were coming up to a building? He says, wow. It's spewing fire. What is this place? Some kind of forge? Hugo Ironworks. What the heck? Okay, that's in the game. Interesting. Not looking too deeply into it, but okay. Another place in the game. I guess they make iron here. Never seen a factory like this before. It sure is hot. Wonder what it's like inside. But as he peeks in, it looks abandoned. Pearl says, huh? What a mess. What happened here? And then, Chatot sees something and gets Pearl's attention towards some papers on a nearby desk inside. Pearl says, huh? That's an order, and it's signed the G Corporation with the Team Galactic symbol on it. I call it G Corporation, but Development Corporation, whatever. Pearl says, I can never forget that symbol. It belongs to that gang that attacked us, Team Galactic. What have they been making here? But Pearl then hears a faint voice saying, save me. Pearl says, did you just hear a voice? What should I do? How do I get inside? Oh, suddenly something lands behind Pearl. He turns and says, it's you. Oh, really? Huh. Okay. All right. And just like that, it's the last chapter of this volume. Chapter 47, Maddening Magby. Oh, my boy. He's back. Oh, my God. See, stop teasing me. Is he going to get the Luxray or not? Pearl is in shock. He says, oh, that looks like, could it be? Are you? Luxray lifts up his claws, showing it's lack of claws. And Pearl says, I knew it. We met on Route 233. Those disabled claws. Pearl gives it a hug, saying, it is you. Oh, wow, it's been so long. Long time no see. Oh, and I owe you a debt of gratitude. You found us when we got trapped inside Mount Cornet, didn't you? You told me. Thank you. But Luxray shakes his head. It's no problem. Pearl looks around at the pride, saying, looks like you've been traveling. And check out all these other Luxio and Luxray with you. You're a real leader of your pride. But then he then once again hears the faint voice saying, save me. Pearl turns to the building, saying, oh, I got so excited about meeting you again, I totally forgot. I heard a voice calling for help from inside the Ironworks. He bangs on the metal door, saying, hey, who's in there? I'm going to save you. He tries to open the metal shutter, saying, it won't budge. Darn, how do I get inside? Hey, Chimler, looks like you'll have to burn a path through. But before Infernape can, set its blazing fist on the door, Luxray tugs at Pearl's bag and leads him around the side. Pearl says, you want me to follow you? Oh, and Luxray motions to a hole in the wall. Pearl says, oh, I guess I could squeeze through this. But how come there's a hole here? Luxray taps on Pearl's shoulder with his tail, and Luxray makes his way inside. Pearl questions, you're coming with me? Luxray motions for its pride to stay behind, and as they make their way inside, See, I want Luxray to join, but then again, I do understand that it has, its pride to have responsibilities to look after and all that. And shoot, we've lost so many Pokemon for that very reason in the anime. As they make their way inside, Pearl says, "Oh, thanks. That makes me feel a lot safer." After seeing that Team Galactic symbol, I'm kind of nervous about going on a rescue mission all by myself. But he then steps on an arrow on the floor. Oh god, it's one of those accelerator arrows. Is this a gym? Or is this just the way the place is set up? As Pearl is suddenly propelled forward into an oil drum, he hits it hard. After landing on the floor, he says, "Ow, what's with this moving floor? Sure is hot in here. Is this the inside of the Ironworks? Where's the person who was calling for help?" He steps on another sliding floor and is propelled into the wall. He says, "These floors aren't safe to walk on. What's with this place?" Luxray then uses its X-ray vision to look around. That's so wild to see. Man, Luxray are so intense. Pearl watches Luxray look around, says, "Your eyes are shining gold. You must be searching for the person who called for help." Pearl accesses his Pokedex saying, "You're using your X-ray vision?" The Pokedex reads, "Luxray, the Gleam Eyes Pokemon." Gleam Eyes? Huh. When its eyes gleam gold, it can spot hiding prey, even those taking shelter behind a wall. And, oh, okay, that's a flashback. Pearl thinks, he had told me about it. When Lady and I got buried under all that rubble, he used that power to find us. Luxray then perks up as, it seems to see a person behind several walls in a container. Pearl says Luxray has turned off its gaze. Does that mean the person who called for help is on the other side of this wall? Luxray gives a nod and then motions with its tail. Pearl says, "You want me to hop on?" Yep, and sure enough, Luxray bounds around some containers and barrels to get Pearl to the other side. As they make their way to a weird box, Pearl bangs on it saying, "Are you in there? Hello, can you hear me?" It's an old man. He's Mr. Fugo. Fugo's Ironworks. Interesting. The old man with a small, what is it called again? Shellos says, "Thank goodness. I thought nobody would ever hear me. I've been yelling so long my voice almost gave out. My name is Mr. Fugo. I'm the owner of this Ironworks." Pearl questions, "The owner? What the heck happened here?" Mr. Fugo says, "At first it seemed like any other job. An organization asked us to make a number of parts for them." Pearl questions, "An organization?" Mr. Fugo says, "Yes, the Cosmic Energy Development Corporation. That's what they called themselves." Pearl is shocked as he thinks back to the order he found on that desk. Fugo says, "I'd never seen parts like that before, but I had no reason to be suspicious, so I approved their production order. But then, when all the parts were completed, they came to pick them up. I happened to overhear their conversation." He overhears a discussion with some of the Team Galactic members saying, "We've assembled all the components we need to complete the galactic bomb. Now all that's left is to deliver them to our HQ in Veilstone." And with no reservation, Mr. Fugo says, "Bomb?" As the Team Galactic members turn to him, he makes a run for it with his shallows blasting him with, I guess, a mud shot. Mr. Fugo says, "Unfortunately, I was discovered. They attacked me to prevent me from revealing their secret. I only just managed to escape, but I'm sure you've noticed our defense mechanism in the factory." Pearl questions, "You mean the moving floors?" Mr. Fugo says, "Precisely. The Ironworks security system. I set it in motion while fighting them off. Ordinarily, those belts are used to transport heavy pieces of machinery and materials, but the Ironworks isn't up and running. The belts move in random direction." Pearl questions, "I get it. To prevent intruders from finding their way around the factory, right?" Mr. Fugo says, "Yes, the enemy gave up and left, but," Pearl then says, "the system kept you from finding your way out of the factory." Mr. Fugo says, "That's right. That's not all. I'm not the only one who's trapped in the Ironworks." They then hear something approaching. It's a horde of Magby. I've never seen so many in one place, Jeebus. Mr. Fugo says, "There are still all the Pokemon they left behind when they fled." Are these Team Galactic's Pokemon? As the Magmy rush him, Pearl says, "Whoa, Trimler, Chatler," and Infernape and Chatot go into action. As that goes on, Pearl says, "Mr. Fugo, by the way, my name's Pearl. Anyway, I forgot to tell you, my Pokemon are handling the enemy even as we speak, and I'm heading towards you to rescue you. I promise I'll save you." Pearl thinks to himself, "I've got to save him," and rushes into the fight. He has Chatot use Mirror Move, Infernape use Close Combat, Chatot used Pluck, then Infernape used Focus Punch. They down the horde of Magby. man, that's a lot of XP right there. Dang. Pearl says, phew, we got through. How do we do? Okay, so he's going to leave Infernape and Chat out to deal with this. Pearl says, we'll go on ahead. You hold off anybody who comes after us. Trimler and Chat. Oh, and he steps on another of those moving panels and goes rushing forward. He says, I accidentally stepped on another conveyor belt, and it's a long one. Where's it taking me? Oh, Pearl is in shock. He says, to the furnace? Okay. We then cut back to Celestic Town, where we see Cynthia's grandmother, Carolina, in the anime, but I'm still going to call her that, examining the ruins that are now boarded up. Cynthia arrives, saying, Grandma. Carolina says, oh, hello, Cynthia. Cynthia questions, how have you been? Carolina says, everything's hunky-dory here, thanks to the defense forces you brought in for us. Cynthia then says, glad to hear it, but something's still nagging at me. When Cyrus attacked, Cyrus's words were, and thinking back on what those hieroglyphs said, Cynthia says, remember how he put it? Do you think those hieroglyphs he was talking about are the ones in Celestic Town Shrine? Carolina says, well, I'm certain he trespassed in my home and poked around my things while I was stuck at Cafe Cabin. Cynthia says, even I can't decipher those old texts. I can't imagine he'd be able to understand them. Regardless, we mustn't let our guard down. Leave those precious documents with me for safekeeping, so Cyrus can never lay eyes on them again. Carolina rummages through her hair, saying, all right, and pulls out a scroll. She hands it over, saying, thank you, Cynthia. Cynthia says, you're welcome. I'll do my best to protect these ancient texts. Oh, and that's the end. Okay. See, now I'm not saying any of this has been bad. It's just that, I don't know, something about... I guess because now that they're on their own, there's a lot less going on in terms of the characterization. Now, I don't know if I want to go that far. I guess I should say I was more engaged because we had the trio together. But now that they're separated, something is kind of... enthusiasm is a little died down a little bit. If anything, I'm just eager to see them reunited. And I know they'll be better for it, but it just... it just really leaves me wanting them to be back together because it just works so well having them together. You had such a great thing with them together. You're not saying that Diamond's training was bad, it just And now Pearl's on this side quest, which, I mean, at the very least, it's showing that Team Galactic has been just up to no good all over the region. You know, everything just kind of connects back to them. Very reminiscent of Team Rocket back in the day. And when it came to stuff like Team Aqua and Team Magma, you know, they were there and they were involved with a lot of things, but, you know, you kind of just kept stumbling into it a little bit more occasionally. It felt a lot more like happenstance, whereas this feels more like, no, Team Galactic's just everywhere. They have their hands in everything, and all in the effort to complete their little project. But they managed to just slip up and give their plans away so many times. I want to believe that it was intentional in some cases, but in giving it away to the guy who's supplying you with the part, you know, you think they'd have the wherewithal to be like, hey, you should discuss this with a little bit more discretion, but yeah, what can you expect for cartoony bad guys? But I am interested to see where Pearl's little side story ends up leading him, and where Lady ends up heading off to, or should I say Platinum. Never really call her Lady, because it makes me think of Lady and the Tramp. Yeah, not really too much to talk about with this one. And it's just nice to see their growth. And I guess they'll grow on their own and be stronger when they come back together. So that'll be a plus in the long run. You just gotta be patient for the real meat and potatoes of what I want for this story. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also remember to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I hope to see you later. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.